Politics, cultural exchange, social life and ecological issues. These are only few areas where international organizations implement their projects. They cooperate with public and private partners, and preserving peace for future generation is their principal goal. How do they arrange their work? What role is given to Kazakhstani initiatives? You'll find more on this in Kazakhstan International Vectors.
That group of young people are clearly the future of our world, and they hold a tremendous potential for social and economic development.
Это же и экономика.
The today's newly born children will be tomorrow's taxpayers. The Industrial Revolution of the 19th century, manual labor was replaced by smart machines. Unemployment has reached each second family in the UK. In those times, losing a job meant losing all means of living, as the social security system did not exist yet. Workers who were laid off had nothing to do but resist innovations. People organized protests and strikes, sometimes even accompanied by destroying of miracle machines. The times of the Great Depression in the US, the economic crisis provoked mass unemployment. In winter 1932, the number of jobless people exceeded 12 million people, which was equal to 10% of all the US population. The most resonance demonstration was the so-called Hunger March of discharged Ford plant workers in Detroit. In 2012, the number of unemployed people all over the globe rose beyond 200 million, and only a quarter of those who lost their jobs lives in developed countries. The rest 75% are citizens of developing states, mostly of Southeast Asia and Africa, experts report. Another 870 million do have jobs, but are paid less than $2 a day. In terms of the global economy, it can be characterized as an extreme poverty. According to the forecasts of the International Labour Organization, the number of unemployed people throughout the world will be only increasing. As for separate countries, Arabic states as well as some Asian, Latin American and African countries are most of all exposed to this risk. Youth unemployment is a topical problem of the modern labor market. The crisis has significantly affected young people aged between 15 and 24 years. The unemployment level in this age category is about to reach a 13% mark. It means that more than 73 million of young men and women all over the world are now in search of work. So what social problems does youth unemployment conceal, and how can we help to the blank generation? Dastan Arengazi is not much concerned about the youth unemployment statistics. The student of one of Kazakhstani university is sure that if we are not able to find a job, we can create it ourselves. Having gathered a team of allies and gaining the support of his alma mater, the young innovator started realization of his own project.
Область применения технологии iBeacon, она очень...
iBeacon technology can be applied in many fields, but we have concentrated our attention on the retail trade. Beacon is a device with a small chip inside, which interacts with your smartphone.
С вашим телефоном.
This technology is an innovation for the domestic market. Dastan hopes that such devices will serve as good guides for ordinary citizens of Kazakhstan in large supermarkets and trade centers. Iron parts are ordered from Europe, but as for writing programs, the inventors do this work themselves. The business model has been already patented and has a great number of application areas.
Можно вывести список.
At home, you can compile a list of purchases you want to do, and when you enter, let's say, into a dairy department, you will be reminded to buy, for example, milk, eggs and kefir. And while passing the bread and bakery products, you will see a reminder, buy bread. The same things will happen in all the departments. Dastan's team consists of several guys, and they have already attracted the first client, one of the largest metropolitan trade centers. The young developer plans to launch another ambitious project, but this time within the framework of Expo 2017. Indeed, the number of young people like Dastan throughout the world is not so big. According to the statistics, less than a half of all young men and women do what they really like, and 25% even agree on any kind of occupation. According to the World Bank, 300 million young people are employed in the low-paid agricultural sector or have no permanent work at all. It means that more than a half of youth all over the globe cannot realize its potential.
Youth unemployment is a serious issue in the majority of countries in the world. We have countries, even developed EU member countries, where youth unemployment is over at 30% or even 40% in some cases.
International researchers agree that the present generation of youth is the largest than ever before. According to the UN Population Fund, the number of young people currently living on the planet is about 2 billion. It is for them to build the future, and nobody but they should be invested in.
That group of young people are clearly the future of our world. And they hold a tremendous potential for social and economic development.
United Nations Population Fund UNFPA helps developing states and countries with transitional economies find solutions to demographic challenges. Nowadays, the organization operates in 150 countries around the world. UNFPA assists its member countries in the battle against the youth unemployment by means of conducting research works and developing recommendations. A bright example of such activity is the published report on so-called demographic dividend.
The demographic dividend refers to the phase of the population evolution of a country where a high proportion of the population are young people and people in reproductive ages.
The organization's representatives are confident that states providing a free access to education, public health and information services for young people will have more chances to turn them into the engine of economic development.
And let me say that the economic development of a country like Japan or the Asian tigers, early on Western European countries, the period when they developed most actively or rapidly economically was exactly during that period of the demographic dividend.
The roots of unemployment are concealed in overpopulation. This is a conclusion made by international sociologists. They estimate that by 2070, the Earth population will reach almost 9.5 billion people. This will not only increase the unemployment level, but also exhaust natural resources as well as food and water supplies. Specialists are sure that education, especially among women, will save countries, because it is for the fair sex to decide on the size of their families. The country with the youngest population in the world is Niger. Approximately half of its residents is under 15 years old. An average performance level of literacy there does not exceed 20%. I can say that family planning has roots stretching back to antiquity. We, for example, inherited institutions of family planning within clans, tribes, large patriarch families and so on. As a rule, everything was planned by the representatives of elder generations. The issues of family planning have been one of key activities of UNFPA for many years. From the day of its establishment, the organization has been monitoring childbearing throughout the world, as the development of medicine has been always accompanied with rapid population growth. In 1930, the Kuomintang government in China gave an order to organize contraception classes for medical workers. Meanwhile, the first birth control state clinic was opened in India. At that time, the country's population made up about 350 million people. Later, the UK officially started to distribute information in its colonies about the necessity of birth reduction among the native population. For that end, special associations, societies and committees were created. In such a way, the term family planning has been created, which is still being widespread in our days. The demography problem is two-sided. On the one hand, it is overpopulation, for example in China, India and some other regions. On the other hand, the larger the family, the stronger it is. In addition, our predecessors had no pensions, and the quality of their life in the old age depended on the number of children and their ability to help their parents. After the World War II, the Asian and African countries, along with states of Central and South America, started an active battle with various diseases with the assistance of the World Health Organization. The high mortality rate was significantly reduced. Meanwhile, the birth rate remained on the same level. As a result, the necessity of rising public awareness in the issues of reproductive health appeared. In 1960s, the UN and its Population Fund headed the movement for the introduction of ideas of family planning. Like half a century ago, today UNFPA considers it very important not only to control birth rate, but also care about bearing of healthy children. Such a phenomenon as family violence is also one of factors of birth rate reduction, consider representatives of the organization.
Again, according to WHO data, women that have experienced domestic violence are, I believe, around 60% more likely to have a low birth weight delivery, which again speaks of the importance of this problem for the entire society.
Representative offices of the fund in different parts of the world carry out demographic researches which inform about tendencies and situations related with reproductive health and then submit this data to proper national authorities. In future, it will allow opening in hospitals and polyclinics, consulting rooms for family planning and social services for women subjected to violence. UNFPA also cooperates with other organizations.
We, together with WAVE, which is international non-governmental organization, developed a resource kit on addressing gender-based violence within the health system.
Such work of the fund has been highly appreciated by the European Commission. Currently, pilot projects are being conducted in 6 countries of the old world: Austria, Bulgaria, France, Italy, Germany and Romania. Maternal health is as important as child health, UNFPA thinks. Because of that, this issue is also given much attention. The data from Kazakhstan is regarded as one of the best in the world.
Over the past 4 or 5 years, maternal mortality ratio has declined almost 3 times. From, according to official data, 36.8 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births to under 12 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births in 2014.
Further reduction of maternal mortality is not only the priority of UNFPA's work, but of Kazakhstani government as well. The country is already developing its national strategy on rendering family planning services with estimated completion in 2020.
The most promising route to further decrease maternal mortality, improve maternal health, is an emphasis on family planning services. Basically, give women the opportunity to more carefully space their births and decide when and how many children they would.
The plans of UNFPA for this year include continuing the work with disabled people. Improving the statistics on this population group is one of priority tasks in Kazakhstan. The creation of a complex register system is expected. Kazakhstan has already ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Now the Republic obliges to take measures for protection of this group of people. One more document, which the country has joined to this year, concerns the youth.
We developed, together with the statistical committee of CIS, a statistical compendium on the young people in the Commonwealth of Independent States. And I know that this compendium provided very good comparative basis for the policy formulation in terms of youth policy that preceded the consideration of the bill on youth policies in the parliament.
In 2014, the list of the world's youngest billionaires was headed by Chinese lady Perena Kay. The fortune of the 24-year-old woman is estimated at $1.3 billion. She owns 85% of shares of Logan Property Holdings, a real estate company which rates highly on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. UK displaced from this position Dustin Moskovitz, technical director of Facebook and one of its founders, who was the first in this category in 2013. Lists of rich persons like these are growing from year to year. Thus, for instance, in 2014 the register of young billionaires was completed by 31 new names.